Another key use case that emerges from strong metadata management is the ability to support modern data architectures such as data fabrics, data mesh, and data products by delivering comprehensive data lineage and visibility into data dependencies. For our next demo, we'll explore how the Precisely Data Integrity Suite, from the perspective of a data architect, can enable scalable, governed, and interconnected data environments that align with today's modern architecture strategies. As a data architect, the first thing that I'm focusing on to build modern data architectures is centralizing our metadata. Without that foundation, it's nearly impossible to get a clear picture of what data we have, where it lives, or how it's being used. I need that visibility to drive consistency, governance, and trust across the board. I'm going to be using the Data Integrity Suite to help with this because it gives me flexibility to scan everything from databases to cloud platforms to spreadsheets using hundreds of connectors. That means I can quickly build an inventory of our data assets without a ton of manual efforts. Precisely gives me a lot of flexibility in how I can connect to our data sources. I can set up direct connections to cloud platforms, or for our on-premises environments, I can use agent-based connections that don't require moving the data. Also, I can bulk import some of our less structured metadata assets here, and all of this will surface in our catalog or in our governance functionality. So once connected, the metadata is automatically surfaced into this catalog, giving me a really good centralized view of our data landscape. The setup is going to be really key to us because it lets me prepare for self-service and data mesh use cases without having to replicate or relocate data. I get the visibility and control that I need while keeping everything where it already lives. I can also configure my connections to automatically refresh in the metadata catalog and refresh my data profiles on a schedule. So I just select the schedule that I'd like to catalog things at and select the insights that I'd like to gather. This helps me keep everything up to date without lots of manual oversight. Once I've designed the foundation of my modern data architecture, I also need to make sure that I can actually track how the data flows throughout the system, where it's coming from, how it's being transformed, and where it ends up. So this is going to be where lineage comes in. So let me go ahead and pull up one of my data lineage diagrams for you and show you how we can do just that. So I'll open up my metadata asset and select the lineage tab. So here I see that I'm starting with this item name, SAP Corporate Enrichment. I have some enrichment services tied to this here that we have some information on popping up on this left-hand panel. We see that this becomes this other table in Snowflake, which is then split out into a few different reports here. So what's really powerful is that at every step, I can see the associated policies and business assets directly tied to the metadata, giving me full transparency and control across the lifecycle. So as a data architect, this is going to be incredibly helpful because it gives me full visibility into how data is being used and governed. It gives me the ability to understand context, enforce standards, and make sure the architecture I built is delivering on transparency, trust, and control. After reviewing data lineage and visualizing a bit of our metadata, it's time to activate it. So with the Data Integrity Suite, we saw how we can do this through automated metadata harvesting, lineage tracking, but we can also do this through automated semantic tagging here by taking a look at one of our metadata assets and then its profile. So for example, we're seeing that this is a city field. This gives us a living, breathing view of how data flows and evolves. I can also go ahead and tag domain-specific assets here, just using this easy tag button, so that my teams can easily find what they need through self-service. Everything, as you've seen, is surfaced on a common platform, this data catalog, with a consistent set of tools that are intuitive for both technical and non-technical users. As a data architect, this is going to be really huge for me because it means that domain teams can own and manage their own data products without creating silos. We're enabling a federated model that still runs on a common, intelligent foundation. We're also applying artificial intelligence to learn from data profile metadata over time. So for instance, we can set up observers on our metadata profiles, and this is going to help surface insights and patterns automatically. So this is going to be where we start to eliminate the need for user in the loop for every single decision. So for instance, we can bring data quality into the picture here by automatically flagging issues based off of what the suite has learned from metadata over time without someone having to manually intervene. So after I've activated my metadata and used it to drive some automation, the next thing I want to walk through is how we can manage different taxonomies. So as metadata is harvested and relationships are discovered, I need a way to review and refine that structure over time. So Precisely gives me the tools to do just that. We see here that I've defined some business terms. I can tag this to some of my technical assets. I can write out business cases to it. I can tie it to any of my policies. I also can build out multiple levels of this by using, for instance, a business glossary. Here I've created a glossary. I put in a few different domains, and then here I can define terms relevant to each part of my team. And what's going to be really important here and from the Precisely solution is the fact that all of these fields are flexible and definable. So if I go into configuration here, go into governance, and for instance, one of my models, I can just add new fields that are going to be relevant to any glossary terms, for instance. So this is going to be really important for me as a data architect because it helps bridge the gap between technical metadata and business understanding. So I'm not just organizing data, but I'm making it meaningful and usable across the organization. So this means what we're learning from metadata can evolve how we define and connect concepts across the enterprise over time. To wrap things up today, everything I've walked through supports the story of what I'm trying to build as a data architect. My goal has been to create a modern data architecture that's scalable, governed, and aligned with how our teams actually work with data. That starts with centralizing their metadata like we saw, but it actually goes much further. With Precisely, I've been able to automate discovery, track lineage, activate metadata, and manage taxonomy in a way that gives both technical and business users the visibility and control that they need. I'm using metadata to drive action, enforce standards, and support architectures like data mesh, data fabric, and data products. Having full lineage and impact analysis helps me understand how data moves, where it's used, and what it touches. This allows me to design with confidence, knowing the architecture I've built is delivering transparency, trust, and control.